live.
Yes.
Yay! Hi, everyone. We are
Hi.
live. Hi, this is the Shelf Space February live show where we are being joined by Charles from Books on Stereo, whose channel I will link down below for you guys to go check out because he is awesome. And
Thank you.
we are discussing Black Sun this month by Rebecca Roanhorse. So we have lots of thoughts. I don't know anything about Charles's thoughts. Like I haven't seen any of your thoughts at all. So I'm very curious what you have to say about this. But before we get into this discussion, I will have you introduce yourself and your channel and then give us your top 3 favorite fantasy books.
Okay, sounds good. Hello, everyone. My name is Charles. I'm from my channel is Books on Stereo, and I basically focus on pretty much all books on audio. I'm a huge romance reader. That's probably where most people know where I'm currently at in the romance genre very firmly, but I was a very big fantasy and YA fantasy reader, but a lot of people may not have known that because pretty much all my content is romance focused, which I'm trying to spice it up and change it up a little bit, but it's not going too hot right now.
Romance content though is top notch. So
oh, thank you. I would say top 3. I was going to cheat. I told Jesse I was going to list a whole trilogy. But I will just put one book. It's City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. One of the most unexpected, really good high fantasy. I mean, really, really high fantasy. It has a really nice romance to it, which I was not expecting. A little bit of a love triangle. That's really good. And then I would say second would be The Poppy War by R.F.
Love The Poppy War.
That book, I read the first 2 books, so I'm only putting the first one. Okay. Dragon Republic wasn't my favorite because it was a little bit too depressing.
Oh my god,
it's so depressing. And then third, I would say would be, I'm gonna go YA for this one. I'm gonna go what is it called? It's the Saboteur's books.
An Ember in the Ashes.
An Ember in the Ashes.
Yes. Oh, I've heard such good things about that one. I read the first book and then haven't continued on. So, and I'm like, I feel like I'm missing out because I hear it keeps getting better and better.
You guys, we're exposing Jessie right now for how not a true fantasy reader she is.
I haven't read an Ember in the Ashes, or I have read an Ember in the Ashes, but I haven't continued on with the series. And then I haven't read The City of Brass, which is just a crime.
Oh my goodness. Have you read Children of Blood and Bone?
No! No, Charles, you're exposing me. I'm so behind. I know. I need to get to it. I know. I've heard
it's okay.
That one. That's so fun.
It's a good one.
List, though. That's a really good list. Poppy War is so fantastic. I also
so good.
Burning God, but I'm so scared.
Me too. I bought it and I'm like,
am I ready to be depressed?
Let me pick up 10 other romances and then let me try this one later.
Yes, that's awesome. Hey everyone, I'm gonna say hello.
Hi.
Adrian, Monica, hi. Oh my God, Alan. Do you know what a Grisha is, Charles?
Of course. I read the whole series.
Alan is trying to figure out what a Grisha is. He has not read Shadow and Bone, and I don't think he'd like it, but he...
Oh no, you wouldn't like it.
No. He blindly reacted to the Shadow and Bone trailer, and it was quite funny because he had no idea what a Grisha was, and he kept saying that everyone in the trailer was Kaz Brecker, and it was hilarious. So, I love Dragon Republic, Poppy War, but those both are on my TBR. Awesome. Hey, Gregory, thanks for joining. Hello, thanks for joining. All right, so getting into Black Sun. So first, before we get into like the spoiler chat, we'll keep it spoiler free for as long as we can, and then I don't think that will be very long.
That won't be.
And then we'll get into spoilers. But I would love to know, Charles, like your overall thoughts and rating, and then if you're in the chat and you've read it, what was your overall rating and thoughts on Black Sun?
So overall, I'm kind of in the middle of the road on this.
Okay.
I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I think a bad sign for me is like when I finished the book, I was like, that's it.
Okay.
Like I didn't see like I was a little bit underwhelmed, so I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was a little bit too character focused for me, a little bit too slow.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't seem like it was setting up anything grand. I was like, it was just
You're like meh.
It was meh.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so at least you didn't hate it.
No.
So that's good. And that's funny that you said it was super character focused for you, because I found myself like reading this really fast, like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the book, like I felt like I could read it if I had time in like one day, because it just read really fast to me. So that's really interesting. For you to say it was a little slower for you.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, so we'll have a lot to discuss as to maybe why. Let's see what everyone else said. Jade, really loved it. Awesome. So yes, I also really loved it, which I'm like very surprised, because I didn't know if it would live up to the hype, because I feel like a lot of people love this book in the BookTube community right now. And I was like, oh, I'm going to temper my expectations, because these never live up to the hype. And then this one did for me. And I'm shocked, because I recognize a lot of flaws with this book, and it's like I didn't care, because I just had so much fun with it. So I also loved it. Yay. So thank you for picking it, Charles. At least you picked a great one for me. Let's see. 4 stars for Rachel. Okay. Nice. 4 stars for Monica. That's good. Okay, 3.5. Is it strange that the end hooked me? We will definitely talk about because that, I think had a huge cliffhanger. Excited that it's beginning the new series. Definitely felt like the beginning of a story. Yeah, I agree. Loved it. 5 stars. Yay. I'm seeing a lot of people really enjoyed it.
A lot of people loved it.
Yes, this is awesome. I'm so happy. I liked it a lot. 4 out of 5. Felt like the introduction. Yes. Really fast for me too. Fast-paced and entertaining, but felt like set up for the next book. More questions than answers, for sure. And we'll talk about that. Haven't read it. Okay, we'll keep it spoiler free, and I'll let you know when we get into spoilers. Hi, Mom. Mom. Hi, Mom. I didn't find it slow. The pacing was fine, but I didn't find it had a lot of momentum or suspense. Interesting. I was thinking it'll be great. It was good, but not woo. Okay, like 3.5. Okay, so like not good. Makes sense. Okay, so I'm seeing like a lot of people loved it, and then some also agree with you, Charles, that like it's average. I didn't see anyone hate it, which is like
that's good. That's good.
Good pick, Charles. So let's talk about, if we can keep it spoiler free, let's talk about, since you found it more character driven, what did you think of the characters?
I actually really liked all the 3 main POVs that we get in the book. Don't ask me to pronounce their name. I will butcher it, so like don't ask me. I would say my favorite would have been, she was kind of like the priestess and like dealing with the whole someone trying to assess. Yep. I was like, I'm not gonna even try them.
Narampa, I think maybe so.
Narampa, like I had to listen to the audiobook because I was like, I would not know how to pronounce half these names correctly.
Yeah, you could probably pronounce them better than me, because I did not listen to this one on audio, and I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
yeah, I like the characters. I felt like the plot was really where I wasn't really hooked.
Okay.
Like this is like a book I could easily see myself rereading
Yeah.
and maybe enjoying a little bit more. If that
Yes.
makes any sense.
Yes. So Nara was your favorite.
Yeah.
Who was your least favorite?
I don't have a least favorite. It
Oh,
was
good. That's good.
because I'm gonna describe I because I can't remember the characters' names. It was the girl, like the pirate,
It
the ship
was
girl.
Yala, I think,
Y'all,
maybe, is how you pronounce like the
y'all,
pirate girl's name. And then
yeah,
Serapio was the boy. I'm totally
yeah,
guessing at pronunciation. I think that's maybe how you
yeah.
pronounce it. Serapio? Serapio?
Serapio, Serapio. That's it.
Serapio?
Serapio.
Okay.
Serapio. They were. I like them both for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't like a bad character.
Okay.
I really enjoyed all the characters. How about you? Do you
I
have a favorite?
totally agree. Like I didn't have a least favorite. And then I I will say I think Serapio was my favorite. I loved him from the
I
beginning.
can I can see he has like the most dramatic story. I feel like the most dramatic
He's
what happened to him.
so
I'm not
much
gonna say
fun.
spoilers because we're not in spoilers.
Yes. But I loved Serapio. Like that was one of my favorite things about this book was how much I loved the characters. So Serapio, I think, was my favorite. And then I would say Giala. And then Nora was my least favorite, but still, I like still
Okay.
loved her. Like she was still such a good character to follow.
Mhm.
So that's like kind of my ranking of the main characters. But I will say that
Yeah.
the characters in this book were one of the strongest parts of it for me, for sure.
Mhm.
And then what did you think? So I know that you mentioned you weren't a huge fan of the plot. So
Mhm.
was there a certain like point of view that intrigued you more than the other?
I think it was definitely forgetting her name again. It was a priestess character
Nara, yep.
and her dealing with like all the different kind of political things that are going on,
Yeah.
dealing with this whole convergence idea and kind of following through. Like hers felt like the most like directly in the story. Everyone else felt like kind of like we're getting to the same point. We're getting to the same main point, but for her, I really liked her. I really liked her story. It's just like I think probably like halfway through, I started to lose a little bit of interest.
Oh my
I
God,
was
that's
kind of
so
like,
interesting. I had like the
I,
opposite experience.
I love the beginning, and then it shifted into the second half, and I was like, uh,
Okay, that's so interesting. So for me, like Nara, I wasn't as big of a fan of her point of view at first. And
mhm,
I was because I loved Serapio and Giala so much. I was like, oh my God, I love their story. But then like halfway through the book, I actually really started enjoying Nara. So it's so
this
funny.
is like we're like exact opposite.
Exact opposite. But this is good. This is good because it's gonna be
Yeah.
really interesting to hear like more of the spoiler chats, like why. Um,
What
so
did you think about the world building?
that oh my God, I loved it. I loved it
Okay,
so
that
much.
we differ. I didn't like the world building. At the end of the book, like if someone asked me to describe the book, I'd be like, it has this convergence. Like it just didn't click with me, but I can read like the Ruin of Kings, and that makes perfect sense to me.
Oh my God, opposite. Complete opposites. That is so funny. Okay, so the world building, for those of you who haven't read the book and you're in the chat, it's very much based on like a pre-Columbian America history. So it's
Mm-hmm,
very like it's clans and it's a lot of like the
mm-hmm,
gods and we have like mythical like animal companions and it's really
mm-hmm,
interesting. And each of the different clans kind of has like different powers. And I thought that that was so cool. It was like such unique world building that I hadn't seen before. And I think that
mm-hmm,
that's why I really enjoyed it was because I just hadn't
mm-hmm,
read anything like it. Um,
mm.
yeah. And like, I don't want to say any spoilers, but some of like the clan's abilities and stuff, I was like, this is really
It was
cool.
cool. It's weird because I read her middle grade debut
Oh,
under the Ride and Presents, so and I like that more than
really?
Black Sun,
Oh, I might have to
which
go.
is weird. Which is weird for me to say, but I enjoy the world building because it's very similar, not similar type of world, but definitely delving into more Native American mythology. But I felt like that one, even I think it's more because it's written for middle grade. It was like a little bit easier for me to kind of go like, okay, because I'm horrible when it comes to fantasy and world building. Like you have to like take my hand and
Okay,
like lead me through it because I'm like I haven't read a ton of fantasy in a while,
okay. That
so it's
makes
like
sense.
it's
Yeah,
hard for me to like wrap my brain, especially if you don't like go like this is this, this is this, this is this. So
yeah.
sometimes the details can get a little bit lost on me. I think that was my issue. I think it was more the reason why I didn't like this book as much was more on me, not necessarily the book.
That's a good point though, that it's not like a hand-holding type of world building. Like it usually, like with some fantasy books, you get a character who's kind of like the outsider, who has like
Hmm.
the mentor explain the magic system to them, and like you're figuring out the world with that character. All of these
Hmm.
characters kind of already knew like the
They
magic,
know the world.
the rules of the world. So you're kind of
Hmm.
thrown into it, and you don't have that character who's like the outsider that you're kind of learning
Hmm.
about the world with. So it's very much like you're just kind of dropped into these characters' lives, and you kind of are expected to like keep up and
Keep
figure it
up.
out. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that I can see how that maybe wouldn't work. Especially like, yeah, like you said, if you're not a huge fantasy reader
Hmm.
and it's not something you read a lot of very often, I can see
Yeah.
how that could like detract from it.
Hmm. Yeah, because I think all the ones that I read, I mean, all the ones that I put in my top three, all have an outsider.
Yeah,
Kind of
kind
get
of like,
entering the world, City of Brass, Ember in the Ashes,
mhm.
and then the Poppy War. They're all outsiders, and the first book is like them figuring out the world. So
Yeah.
it's like that's interesting that you say that we came up upon that because
Yeah,
like
no, that is
I see a
exciting.
theme that I need to like I'm like I need that outsider character to
Yes.
basically say like this is how everything works.
Yes, exactly. Right. Trying to catch up on the chat. Love the pacing. It's an intro for
Mhm.
sure, but that's expected. 4.5. Yay. I'm glad you liked it, Sarah.
Nice.
Woohoo! Serapio.
Serapio.
Love the three main characters. At first, I didn't love Naramba, but by the end, I really liked her. Storyline about Nara and Tova was the best of the three point of view. So Monica
Hmm.
agrees with you.
Yeah.
The audiobook as well. Love the audio. Yeah, how was the audiobook?
The audiobook was really good. I got it through Libro FM, and it was a good book. It was a good book.
That like
It was good audio.
were there different narrators for the three point of views, or was it the same?
I think it was the same.
It was the same.
I don't think it was. I think it was, but she definitely changed the pitch of the voice for each of the characters, so like you weren't confused as who you were in.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because
Hmm.
that could have been confusing. I loved Serapio.
Another Serapia.
I love Serapio. He's so great. Nora was my least favorite. Yes. Yep. That's my same ranking, Jade. Oh my gosh. Giala was Roy's.
Uh,
Too many chapters devoted to Serapio past life felt a little tedious to me. That's interesting.
mm.
I personally didn't mind them because I loved
Because
Serapio.
that was Serapia.
But
The
yeah,
whole book could have been Serapio, and you've been like, I'm fine.
yeah, I could see. Agree. The girl pirate was my favorite. Giala, yes.
Mhm.
She was such a like sassy, like fun
Yeah,
character to follow. I loved her. She was so great. I loved seeing his past. Jade, you and I very much
I
about
did.
this one. I didn't love Nara, but I liked her a lot more when she returned to her home and went, okay. Oh,
Mm.
I won't share that.
Spoiler.
Spoiler, spoiler, sorry. I had the opposite experience as Charles too. That's so funny. I had trouble getting into the story at first. I struggled with the first 70 pages, and after 100 pages, I was in. Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Yay! I love the
You
world.
love the world. Nice.
World. Yeah, I
Mm.
do kind of want to talk about this because I've seen a lot of thoughts in the Discord server chatting about the world and how a lot of folks felt like it was very like surface level in a lot of spots. And I think there might be a reason for that, but I'm waiting till the spoiler chat. I love the world building. Okay, cool. Yay. And learning more of the teak culture in the world building. Yes. Oh, bye, Bree.
Bye.
Needed to know more about the teaks. Agreed, the world building lacked information. I wanted more background focus more on Giala.
That's interesting.
That is,
I kind of feel like that too. I agree with that.
yeah. Hi,
Uh,
Charmaine. Oh my gosh, there were 4
there
new.
were 4?
Wow.
I
That's
did not even realize.
That's awesome. I sad I couldn't get to this book, but hopefully one day. I loved it, Charmaine. Charles felt middle of the road about it, but yeah, give it a try. See what you think.
Yeah.
The audio was good. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of people enjoyed the world building, and then I saw a couple people say that they wanted more from it. I'm trying to think like what else we could talk about that's spoiler free. Because we went over the plot and the world building. I kind of want to get into spoilers.
Yeah, like the only thing I can think of is like the writing, but
Yeah.
I don't think the
The
writing.
writing, yeah.
It's good. It's really good writing. Like she's obviously a really great writer.
Yeah. I was gonna ask. That's a good point. I was gonna ask how you liked the writing style because I noticed right away. I loved her writing because it was very like succinct and not dense at all. Like I found it very easy to follow. So I actually really enjoyed it. And again, it was like very much a page turner for me. Like I just had to keep turning the pages. And I think that that's because she didn't like bloat the text with a bunch of like endless descriptions of things.
Like info dumping.
Yeah, which would be a bad thing for some people because maybe that means that you didn't get the details that you wanted out of like the world or the plot. But I personally liked it because it was like to the point, snappy. It was snappy writing. So,
you're not wasting time like going into all the details.
Yes. Oh, hi, Sandy. Oh, yay. Thanks. That's awesome. Thanks for joining. I love the writing style. The book was really quick to me, even though, that's totally how I felt. Yes, I never felt like there was any sort of like corny like dialogue. I thought all the characters really acted their age and were very like mature about things. I think the biggest con is the ending. Oh yeah, well yeah.
The ending is abrupt. It does kind of end like, and then you're like, wait, what? That's it?
That's a good point. Yes, I will say that if you are a reader who like feels like you need a complete story from like the first book in a series, like I always think of like have you read Mistborn?
No, I haven't.
Gotta read Mistborn. It's so good. It's so good. But like Mistborn is a good example of like a complete story. Like if you didn't want to continue on with that trilogy, you could stop after the first book and like feel like you got like a good story, you got enough of the world, you got enough of the magic system that you're like satisfied, just kind of leaving it there. I don't feel like you could stop the series.
No.
I feel like you got a complete story.
You can't.
Like definitely, like it definitely has way more questions than answers by the end. And it is very like there is a lot of surface level details of the world and the descriptions of like the different clans and the abilities of the clans. Like I think all of those details you're going to get much, much more in future books. And if you need that in the first book, then I don't know if you would like this very much.
But it's so pretty though.
But it's so pretty. It is really pretty. Yeah,
I feel like it's just the world is so unexplored in fantasy. Like I haven't read a ton of Native American inspired high fantasy books.
Yeah,
I think
same.
that's why like some people want more detail about the world because the mythology is not really too well known.
That's true.
Like European, you don't have to explain it. You like everyone knows dragons, elves, fairies. Like
True.
even if you don't read it, you already know that these types of characters and the lore that they have. So it's like easier to jump into those types of fantasies
Yeah.
because it's like, oh yeah, I can figure my way around this world. It's not too different.
Yes. That's a good point that like it because it's such a unique world and because it's something so different than what you typically read, it's like if you're enjoying what you get, I can see why you would want more. Like I
Mm-hmm.
want more of it because it's something so different than what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
And I had kind of the mindset of like I'm just really enjoying what I'm getting. Like I'm just glad to like get anything at all from this world. So I didn't mind that maybe I didn't get like as much detail from this first book as I would have
Mm-hmm.
wanted. Because I was just like, oh my God, I love what I'm getting. So yeah, let's see. So that was a good point, Jade, about the ending. It is very abrupt.
Mm-hmm. It is abrupt.
Opening might have been a little more told than shown at times. Love the descriptions of the clothing, the tears of the society. Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was all good. The right, yeah, yay! I'm so glad, Erin, that you enjoyed it. Short chapter, yes,
Yes.
yes.
So true. So true.
Like, why are long chapters a thing? They need to be
Like,
finished.
yeah, like unless an author does it really, really well,
Yeah,
like you feel like a chapter is like very, very satisfying. I
yeah,
feel like the only con with doing short chapters is that it can feel repetitious. Like
yeah,
you're always like left on cliffhanger, cliffhanger, cliffhanger,
yeah,
cliffhanger. And it's
yeah.
just more for the page turning quality, but I liked how it was done in this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Like chapter length was perfect in this one.
Yeah.
Joanna agreed, wanted more from the
Mm-hmm.
ending. The abrupt ending made me drop a star. Yeah, it was like super cliffhanger. Like cannot
Yep.
think of a bigger cliffhanger. Definitely one where you have to read the sequel to get a complete story.
Is this a duology or a full on
I think it's going to be a trilogy.
trilogy?
I think a trilogy, but if anyone knows in the chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong. City upstairs. Yeah, good point, Monica.
Okay.
The cover is my favorite soccer club colors. I love it. Yellow and blue are
I
so
love
pretty.
that.
That is so pretty. Good point. I'm not sure I want to continue. I feel I had enough of Serapio. Yeah, I
It's
don't know
never,
how you couldn't continue and feel like you got enough. I'm curious, Monica. Do you feel like you had like a complete story from this one? Because I feel like I have to continue. I'm like, oh my God, that ending was wild.
oh.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've covered everything
Okay.
we can that's spoiler free. So I want to get into spoilers. So if you're in the chat and you haven't read the book, I recommend it. A lot of people loved it, so you should definitely go
Yeah.
check it out and see what you think for yourself. Thank you for joining. All right, let's get into spoilers.
Well,
I'm gonna put up a little banner and just say spoilers.
oh, I love that. So,
So that
so
people
everyone knows.
know if they come in that they're getting spoilers. All right. So I feel like I have to ask because this is like my biggest question to you as the romance reader. What did you think of the little romance in this?
Meh. It was meh. I like immediately I caught on to that romance. I was like, there's something there's something happening here.
Yeah.
But I like if you're gonna do it, like just make it more pronounced for me. Like it wasn't like I felt it was there, but I was like, just go full steam. Don't make me wait till the next book. Just give me like don't tease a romance reader with a
Yeah.
romance. That's like the worst thing you could do. Because in my mind, it's just like, okay, when are they gonna get together? When's the banter gonna happen?
Yes. I was wondering because it was very much like they were flirting with it And
Mm-hmm.
we had like the one like bath scene that got a little steamy, but that was pretty much all we got. And yeah, like for a romance reader, I can see you being like, well, kind of unmotivated.
I was like, I can just grab a romance and read alongside this.
Yeah, like I've seen better. But for me, who's like typically a fantasy reader, I actually usually don't like romance in my fantasy books because it's usually kind of, I
Oh,
don't know,
really?
it kind of, I never like how it's done. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
want to read like a good romance, like I'm gonna go pick up a romance. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because usually, I don't know, just romance in fantasy just doesn't work for me. But this for some reason really worked for me.
I think because it's not overshadowing. It's like a nice little subplot.
Yes.
Like it doesn't detract. It's just like a nice little added bonus.
Yes, I was like, and I kind of, as soon as they started interacting, like Serapio and Giala, when they have their
Uh,
first interaction, I was like, am I already shipping them? Like, am I already like super into this? And it was so weird to be thinking that because when you're first introduced to Serapio on Giala's ship, he's like
mm-hmm.
very scary. Like he has like this terrifying like cloak on, and he's got the thing over his eyes
For
and
size.
crows and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like super scary. And I was like, I want him with Giala. I like it. So
I was meh. I was meh. I was like, I see what you were doing, but like
yes.
I needed more. I needed more.
Yes. I can definitely see as like a romance reader it being a little
Mhm.
underwhelming, but I really liked it. I thought it
Yeah.
was so
What
cute.
did you think of this whole backstory with his mother like intentionally blinding him?
What an opening to a book.
I was like, whew.
Like first chapter, I was like, okay, this is
I was
where
like,
we're going. Wow. It was really, I thought, very well done, and
mhm.
immediately had me intrigued. Like, what an opening for a book. I loved that opening. And then how you're not sure if like his mom is she like kind of out of her mind a little bit?
Mine.
Is she like, does she have reason to believe that he could be this god? And then you find out like she had reason to believe that he could be a god
Yep.
and
Mine.
that it actually worked, and you're like, okay, this is awesome. So I loved it. But what did you think of it?
I loved it. I was like, okay. See, like, I love the opening of this book so much. Like
Yeah.
Serapio's character in the beginning, I was like, yes, 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 yes. And then all of a sudden it just went like, meh, meh, meh.
Yeah.
But I love that. Like, so many of my favorite moments are in the opening scenes of the
Yeah.
book. Like, I
Yeah.
just love them. Like the council scene with Narampa and
Yeah.
like I forgot the other character's name. Like, she's like going like, oh, maybe you should step down. And she's like, excuse me.
Oh my god, I hated
I
her.
love that whole dynamic. I was like, I can't stand you.
What was her name? I hated her. She was so manipulative. Oh my god. I mean, someone in the
I
chat
can't remember.
will be able to remember, I'm sure. But man,
Yeah.
you're right. Like there were some awesome moments. What was your favorite scene in the book, do you think?
Ooh, it was with Giala when I think it was during the mutiny scene, if I remember correctly. She
Oh
like
yeah.
summoned, where she basically demonstrated her powers a little bit,
Oh my god. Yes.
and I absolutely love that. I was like,
What did you think when she turned into a mermaid?
just like this book is crazy. Like I love it.
Like it was so out there. I was like, I'm so here for it. I love it.
Like this whole world, I was like, I don't know where this is going, like at all. Like I'm just sitting here going, like, oh, okay,
I'm going
okay, we're just gonna go with that.
I loved it. Okay, I'm gonna try to get
Uh,
in the chat. Let's see what
okay.
you thought of the romance. I actually quite liked it. It's surprising. Yay!
Okay.
The romance was mad, but it's no weird cringe sex scenes. True, there were no cringy scenes. I didn't think. Yes, Jade, loved the romance. Yay! Yes, I love it.
Yeah, it was unexpected.
Yeah, not a romance reader, so that's probably why I liked it. Don't have a romantic future if you think, what's the purpose? Yeah, that's true. I don't know if they'll
Yeah.
but for right now, they're cute. I like the build up to it, but didn't care for the bath scene. Serapio suddenly seems so curious and confident. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't mind the bath scene, but I also kind of wanted them to like officially get together. So, oh, yay!
Jesse, this is why you need to read more fantasy romance.
I know, right?
You need all of that.
I know when it's done well, I really like it. That opening hooked me. Yes, the prologue. Yes, I love that. Yeah, love the part with her powers. That's true. Sorry. Yes.
A siren. Yeah.
It's technically a siren. Yes, not a mermaid, because she can sing to the gods and basically control the water with that. So my favorite one, right before Giala finds out that, sorry, but she's joking about how prophecy. Oh my God, yes, I love Giala and Serapio's scenes on the ship with them getting to know each other, and how like I thought it was so sweet how they kept telling each other stories and stuff. Like that was so cute. They were so cute.
You love them so much. Watch Rebecca just go like, you love them? Now I'm going to sink your ship.
Oh my God. Right there. I'm gonna be destroyed. Oh my God. My favorite scene was the assassination attempt. That was
good. That was good.
Yes, that was very intense. I also love when she became a siren. Great chapter. Siren. I know, right? That was so unexpected. I was not expecting that at all. Yeah, so I like those. I think were my favorite moments. I actually liked finding out more about Serapio's past, and I especially liked the scene where it's I forget exactly what age he was at, but it was the one where the flashback, he's like learning how to duel, and he like goes overboard with the mentor, like he like really hurts her, and she's like you're a monster, like you're a villain, and she calls him like a villain, and he's like, fine, a villain I will be, or something like that, and you're like, oh, you're gonna be like the bad guy.
I would love that, like a hero that starts off, you think it's a hero, but then later comes into the villain.
Because I love that. Yes, it's such an interesting character because he comes off like so sweet and like innocent and like such a like cinnamon roll of a character, and then he's got like this really dark side to him, which is really cool to explore. I loved Serapio, definitely.
We can tell like that's your favorite character.
Yes, that was my favorite character. I've like really loved him. What was your like least favorite part of the book, since we talked about favorite?
I'm gonna have to say the ending. I remember listening to it on audio, and I had to re-listen to it like 5 times. I was like, wait, that can't be it. I was like, really? I felt like the ending went a little bit over my head, because by that point I was like, come on, you can't end it like that. I need more.
Right.
I need something. I was like, we're building up to this event, and then it's just like, next book.
Mean, yes, it really didn't answer anything.
It didn't answer a lot.
Usually you get like some sort of resolution to lead you into the next book. It's almost like this book cut off like mid climax. And like I'm wondering if like the sequel's just going to pick up right where we left off, because it's like we need the other half of the climax.
The story. That's why I was like wondering if this is going to be a duology, because like it feels like a setup where she could resolve.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes sense, like it felt like a duology cliffhanger-y type setup.
That's a good point. Yeah, it is kind of surprising because it's like I saw Elle from Elliot Brooks. She reviewed this book, and she put it in a really good way, where she said the whole book kind of felt like a prologue setting up to the rest of the story, and then it like cuts off right where you think the story is going to start. And I thought that was a really good point, and like I do agree with that. Like the ending was definitely so, like, I've never seen an ending where you just literally cut in the middle of like all the action.
Yeah, I was a little bit like, hold up, no, and people are raving about this book. I was like, the ending. I was like, she needs to be like a romance. She needs to be like a romance author and like publish all the books in the series like within weeks of each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially
I was like, now
not having the second book announced, like when it's going to be released, is like killer.
I don't know how you guys in fantasy do it, but like romance authors are like, here's our series. We're gonna put out a book every single month, and then it's done. Yeah. Like they usually write the whole series beforehand, and they just publish it back to back.
That's brilliant. We need that in fantasy. Like we need them to just write it all and just release it like a couple months like apart from each other, because I'm gonna have to reread it. Like I'm gonna have to reread this book when the sequel comes out for sure. All right, I'm trying to catch up on the. I think he's a little villainish. Oh yes, for sure.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
I love it though, because I love those characters who are like good but evil.
But they have a little edge to them.
Yeah,
they have an edge.
Yes. That's really love.
Yeah, I like if the hero is kind of like a hero becomes you usually don't see in I could be wrong. In the fantasy I have read, you usually don't see like when the main character is actually the villain of the story.
It's not very often.
It's usually like the hero, chosen one, like I'm the one who has to save everyone trope.
Yeah.
It's usually rare when you see a story from the villain or someone who you think is a hero but later on becomes a villain.
Yes. I agree. It's not very often. Like, it's not just you not picking up those books. Like, even as like a fantasy reader, it's not very often that you get to find like a character you think is going to be the hero who legit becomes the villain. And then you get like the whole redemption arc, and you're like, do I really need the redemption arc? And like, oh
no, like I'm not a big fan of redemption arcs. Just like characters be bad. Right? They just want to be bad. Like, stop. Like, don't redeem. Like, they do this in romance all the time, but like, stop with the redemption arcs. Just let a character be horrible.
Let them be bad. I agree. I also really loved Narampa going back to the Maw and finding her brother. I liked hearing how she found back to her roots after she. So the scenes with her brother were interesting because their relationship was not good. Like,
no, not at all.
Yeah, and they kind of like disappeared, because the last we saw really of her and her brother was them talking about the plan for her to go back to the council, and she had that one thing where she could call on that person, and that person would come no matter where she was. And then she's like about to die, and she calls on the person, and you're like, what's happening? So we didn't get a whole lot of her and her brother. I'm hoping we get more of it in the future, because it is a really interesting relationship dynamic. How you don't see that too often either, where it's like a character intentionally left their sibling behind and like left them in a bad spot. I'm sure not what her intent was, but that's how he took it, and that was really interesting. Something that I loved about Serapio. I loved him, but I don't know if I really approve of his purpose. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, because especially following Nara's perspective, it's like, are you rooting for like the council, or are you rooting for like the crows?
Serapio.
In Serapio, like, which is the good side? And it didn't really seem like there was a good side yet.
Second book.
Maybe we'll find out. Yeah. The ending was a lot for me too. It was rushed, and I don't think I really got it all. Yeah, it's one I
same. I feel like I need to reread this book now, talking about it, and like revisit it, because I feel like she probably like laid out all the details in there, like, and it may benefit from a rereading. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, now I get it more.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping the sequel like kicks off with like just like
Right
exactly where
after.
we left off, because that would be an awesome opening for the
Hmm.
sequel if we like just picked up where we left off there. I agree with the ending being rushed. The rest of the book was amazing, but after all the build up, I wanted more payoff. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
that's tough because I didn't mind it too much because I know that there's the sequel and I'm kind of mad. I'm not kind of. I'm really mad.
You're mad.
Wait a long time for it. So I'm like holding out hope that the sequel like covers what we didn't get in the ending here, but I can see if we want payoff right now, which is not
Hmm.
unreasonable, then that sucks. And the ending is rushed. Jill does not get to stop her god boyfriend from killing priests. Yes. Yeah.
God boy.
What is going to happen? I do not know. I watched Elliot's review, agree with what she said. It felt like built. Yeah.
Hmm.
The next book hasn't been announced yet. I know. It's killing me. It's killing me. Can't believe it. Found it funny for one sec. Giallo with, oh no, he's going to murder hundreds of people. Yeah, like I don't know what's gonna happen with
Me
Giallo
either.
and Serapio. Do you think you'll continue on with the series, Charles?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I have my rules for like if I rate a book a certain way, then
Yes.
I don't have to read the sequel.
Yeah.
It's a really weird rule. Like I made it a long time ago. It was like a book only could get a 4 or 5 for
And
me
then
to want to continue on the series. If it got a 3 or lower, I could give myself I wouldn't feel bad
yes,
about quitting the series.
that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. I don't like continuing series where I give books like a 3-star
Mhm.
or lower. I usually don't continue, so that's definitely fair. So I'll have to let you know
You had to let me know if it turns out well.
how the
I don't
sequel.
know. I'll be shocked if I get like an audio book arc from Libro for the sequel. Other
Yeah,
than like yeah,
no,
then I'll probably read it. If I don't have to buy it, I'll probably read.
that's good. That's a good plan. That's a good plan. There's an opening line to a chapter. There are only two kinds of men: ones who betray you sooner, ones who betray you later. Ooh,
Oh, probably.
I hope not, but I can totally see that happening. I love the Nara chapter when she went back home to her brother. Why she went back to the tower after that. I feel like she
Mm.
went back to the tower after that because I think she knew that there really wasn't a choice in the matter. Like
Matter.
she wasn't gonna just like hide the rest of her life. Like she knew she had to like confront her problems, right? Like and
Mm-hmm.
and I think we did not get the one thing I will say that I really wanted more of in this particular book, and didn't want to wait for the sequel for was more of her backstory and why she specifically was chosen by the previous priest to kind of take over for him, because we really didn't find out like what specifically, like we got a little bit of, they had like a close relationship, but I wanted to see like more of that relationship between the old priest and her to get a better
Mm.
understanding of like her motivations
Mm-hmm.
and how passionately she wanted this job, because it did feel like she was
Yeah.
a little bit more passive because we just didn't understand her like motivations.
Patience. Mm-hmm.
um, yes, yes, I agree.
Yes.
It was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
setup. That is true. Nara has the best character arc in the first book, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she has the most arc.
All
I
right.
think
Yeah.
Gianna has a pretty good arc too, though.
I would say Serapio. I
Serapio
think
is
that's the
all over the place.
I feel like that's the character. I feel like he's like the core character of like, even though he's one of the main 3 POVs, I think he's probably going to be a huge focus in the
Yeah.
next book.
Yes, I definitely think that Serapio is the most interesting at the end of this book. He is the most
Mm-hmm.
interesting, and I just want
Interesting.
so much more of Serapio. Yes. Oh, that's true. The brother is probably going to play a big role in the next
Girl.
thing. I definitely, yeah. I don't know in a fantasy way. I really loved Starbury's mission. I was glad he was able to accomplish what he set out to do. Yes,
Mhm.
it's like you don't know if he's doing the right thing, right? It's like, am I supposed to be rooting for this character if he's about to like murder hundreds of people? Like,
People.
but this is like what he's been trained to do his whole life, and like
Hmm.
we're not totally sure like if that's the right thing.
Thing. Yeah.
So I like
I
that.
love there's no real clear good. Like we said earlier, that there's no real clear good or bad in
Yeah,
this world. It's just all gray. Like every character is gray. You can't say one character is eviler than the other.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
yeah, I like it. I like it. There's no one to really root for. If you just want to root for someone, you can.
I agree. I loved stories like that where you're like, but I can see both sides. Like I
Hmm.
understand both sides, and
Yeah.
it's like a war within yourself as a reader because you're like, wait, which side is better though? I don't know.
That's why you should read City of Brass.
Oh, it has that trope in it. Like I need
Yes.
that book then.
I would tell you, but it's a huge spoiler. It's the
Okay.
second book where it comes up.
Oh my god, I need
It's so good.
that. All right, I know
It's so good.
that's on my list for this year. I really, really want. Yeah. Okay. Same series role as Charles. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, I'm so excited. Oh my god. I'll I continue. Oh wow.
Oh.
I'm glad you like this Thea We Became. That's awesome.
Oh, I didn't. That's
And
N.K. Jemisin, right?
yeah.
Oh, I did not like that one.
I didn't like that one.
I did not like. It's just like I feel like it's like if you took Rebecca Roanhorse's writing and like applied it to that story, I would have probably liked it. N.K. Jemison's writing style is just really hard for me to get into because it's so stylized.
Yeah. Like this, I'm like, yay! I'm like straight
Yay.
follow writing style. And then I'm like, I read N.K. Jemisin and I'm like, am I dumb?
I feel dumb reading this.
And like, isn't it me? Like, am I dumb? I feel so dumb reading her books. So that's awesome that you liked it, Monica. I like Nora's arc because she's the one that changed more throughout the book. That is true.
That
Definitely.
is true.
There's something about how Nora's mentor wanting to make her possession less powerful. I believe this is based on the Knight of Knives making the priesthood too powerful. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I wonder, like, I definitely want to reread this book before the sequel comes out. And I wonder if, like, those sorts of details will be clear upon reread now that I know where it
Mm-hmm.
goes. I also want to know more about why, how. Yeah, that she seems to want to uphold old traditions, but on the other hand, her ideas seem to be too forward thinking to keep. Yeah, I'm that's kind of more detail that I really, really want as well. Maybe it's like I don't know. This is a prediction, I guess. I don't know if you would have any predictions for the next books, Charles, since you are gonna necessarily continue.
I probably won't read them.
Yeah, but I guess my like one prediction would be like maybe since this book focused a lot on Serapio's past and getting to see kind of his backstory, then maybe we'll get more backstory from like each of the different characters in subsequent books. So maybe like the second book is Nara's backstory, and then the third book is Giala's backstory, or something like that. I don't know, but I definitely want like more backstory for Nara, especially.
Yeah, I feel like she got the least. I
Yeah,
feel like we got a ton. Like I think we've already said this. Serapio was the biggest one.
yeah,
We got like we pretty much know his whole life story at this point.
yeah, yeah. Let's
Uh,
see. I think a little. Yes, yes. Usually
oh yeah, I usually skip those.
I usually skip those because I tend to find that they don't mean anything to me on the first read, and then it's always fun to like discover those details upon a second read. Brandon Sanderson does that a lot with his books, which you need to go read Mistborn, Charles. Oh,
Hey, I read Elantris. Like
you did? I haven't even read that one. Did you like it?
It was way too. I don't know why I started there. Like, it's not a good. It's not a good representation of his writing. And then I was like, maybe his adult stuff is not for me. So I read his. I read his one. I didn't read the Alcatraz. I read.
Read
It was the
Skyrim.
Arithmetus. I read the Arithmetus by.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, I liked it, but then he's never gonna write a sequel because he's writing his Way of Kings.
Writing so many books. It's
And it's
great.
like it's been pending for like years now.
Adrian agrees. Charles, read Mistborn. It's like it's such a good book. Like it's kind of like it could be like YA or adult. It's one of those that like kind of toes the line. So it's really good. So anyways.
Yeah, I need to read it.
Yeah. Knight of Knives was the biggest motivation for Serapio being Vessel. Hard time feeling invested because we didn't see the Knight of Knives. Yes, should have been another prologue. Maybe that'll be a prologue in a future book.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping, and these are things like I'm holding out hope. Like I loved what we got in this book. And this is where I think I saw the most complaints around the surface level details for like character motivations and world building. I'm hoping that stuff gets fleshed out because this has the potential to be a favorite fantasy series for me, but I do think it needs those things in order for me to feel that way. Like I would be upset if I got to the end of the trilogy and still didn't have those details filled in. So yes, I do agree that like we should see more of those. Yeah. So I don't. Do you have any other thoughts that you wanted to bring up? We're almost.
I guess one general. I was thinking maybe like because it feels like a lot of what we wanted from this book was answers.
Yeah.
To a lot of the questions that were posed. So I'm like wondering if that's something that plays into like what we normally expect from like Eurocentric fantasy. We expect all those answers. We expect a satisfying, but yet leave some things open. Because I'm wondering if this is going to be a trilogy, it's going to be like really like 3 books, really split into three books instead of one. Instead of like I could say 3 separate arcs. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. And like that's a really interesting point that you bring up. I think a lot of our expectations come from reading books that are very like Eurocentric or are from a more like westernized perspective. Whereas these books that take these inspirations from like Native American culture and lore, or it can be anything outside of what we're used to. What is the norm? Like maybe this is just like a different way of storytelling, and that's why we don't get as much. That's such a good point. Yeah, I just love it. I'm so excited. But yeah, I'm glad that you picked it. I know that it wasn't like your favorite or anything, but thank you for picking it because you may have picked one of mine. So yay. Yeah, I don't think I had anything else that I wanted to talk about. It seems like this was like a very good book club discussion book, especially since so many people seem to really enjoy it. So yay.
Yes, that's so good.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm going to catch up on the chat one more time. I'd love to hear more about Giala's backstory. I love her magic and hear more about it. Great point, Charles.
Yeah.
If the second book focuses on Nara and Giala, I would try it. Ooh, I will let you know.
Oh, okay.
Definitely let you know. Yay! Yes, go follow Charles.
Thank you.
His channel down below so that you can go subscribe to his channel because he's awesome. Especially if you're looking for romance recommendations, your romance recommendations are fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, pick up.
We need to read another romance together. We just read Beach Read.
I know the Beach Read buddy read was so fun. So yeah, tell me what to read because I don't know like what's like popular and
Tell
awesome.
me what to read in fantasy because
Okay.
I get scared when I see like a 15-hour audiobook. I'm like,
Be Mistborn. That's
I don't know why I'm resisting. I will read everything else but Miss Bourne.
well, I'll think of like a good one with like a good romance, or at least what I
Okay.
deem as a good romance. Who knows if it's actually good or not? But I'll think of one to send you, and you think of
Okay.
send me because I want to read more romance.
Okay.
That's awesome! Yay, Erin! That's awesome.
Thank
I
you.
want to read. Yes.
Thank you. That's good.
Read Miss Bourne. Everybody's saying that. Yay. Yes, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining this month, Charles. This was an awesome
This was so much fun.
so thank you for your selection. And again, if you haven't subscribed to Charles, I'm going to link his channel down below. Go check him out. He's awesome. And have a great rest of your night, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining. Next month, we will be joined by Erin over at Booked and Busy, and we will be reading Fate of the Fallen by Kel Cade, which
Ooh.
it's a short fantasy, which I'm like,
Uh-huh.
thank you.
Finally.
Finally, a short fantasy book. So I'm very excited for that. So if you want to join us next month, that is what we'll be reading. So thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your night, Charles.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.